Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Toastmasters meeting. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. Hope you had a restful weekend. Congrats again to Justin. That's awesome news. I know we're in the beginning-ish of midterms and everything, so definitely appreciate everyone being here this evening. With that being said, before we get started, would anyone like to read our mission statement, which you can find in the bottom left corner of our agenda? I will
read it, Tricia.
All right, go ahead, Slate.
We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Awesome. Thank you, Slate. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass the stage over to our president, Slate Nations.
Thank you, Tricia. Just want to extend that welcome to everyone here today. And we did start 7 minutes late. I just want to say thank you to everyone showing up, through, even if they just love Toastmasters so much that they couldn't cancel. That's awesome. But we do have an exciting theme today. We had Valentine's Day this weekend. I believe I didn't really care for it this year, so I'm looking forward to some table topic questions and answers on that. That's all I have about that. Past that, we're gonna have a good time. Look forward to this. I'll pass it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Courtney Scott.
Thank you, Slate. So hi, everyone. I'm Courtney Scott, and I am going to be the Toastmaster for this evening. So before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone to remember to mute your camera when everyone else is speaking. Also, we like to keep our cameras on so we can see everyone's beautiful faces. And if you also look at the bottom of the screen, there is a button that says reactions. So we like to use the clapping emoji whenever one is finished speaking, and we like to do the thumbs up emoji whenever someone correctly uses the word of the day. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna call up our reporter roles. So we'll start with our grammarian. So Adanna, if you would please explain the role of grammarian.
Hey guys, I'm Adanna. So I'm basically here to assess your grammar and your run-on sentences, your structure, and I'm also responsible for the word of the day, which is plethora, which is basically a large or excessive amount of something. So hopefully we get a plethora of word of days.
Thank you, Adanna, and a wonderful use of the word of the day. Next, we'll call up our all counter. If Amani could explain, it's going to be Slate Nations today. If you could explain the role of the all counter.
Thank you, Courtney. Today I'll be the all counter, and the role of the all counter is to keep track of everybody's filler words. Filler words are anything that detracts from your speech, most common ones being ums, ahs, some common ones we've seen also include but yeah. And the reason to keep track of those is, like I just said, they detract from your speech, so you want to minimize them as much as possible. And the best way is keep practice, coming to Toastmasters and giving those speeches. And today I'll let all the major speakers know what all those were, as well as your most common one for everybody else. That's what I'll be doing today. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Slate. And last but not least, we'll have our timer. So Scott, if you could explain the role of timer.
Right. All right. All right. Oh, well, thank you very much for that, Courtney. Hey everyone, my name's Scott. I'm going to be timer for this evening, and essentially what I'll be doing is tracking everyone's speeches for today. Both our major speakers such as Sourin, and we'll also be keeping track of everyone's table topics for this evening. With that, I'd like to pass it back to you, Courtney. All you.
Thank you, Scott. All right, and so I just briefly wanted to mention the theme that I chose for today's meeting, which is evolution. I just thought it was fitting for some reason, but Toastmasters gives us a plethora of opportunities to evolve into confident leaders and speakers. So just by coming to meetings and being present, you are ensuring your own personal growth. So good job, everybody, and you can give yourself a pat on the back for that. And we are going to, so before we get into the speech section, I did want to do a quick breakdown of how our meetings work. So Toastmasters is divided into 3 parts: our speech portion, our table topics portion, and the evaluation section. So for the speech portion, guests and members can give speeches, but if you're a non-member, you can only give a 4 to 6 minute icebreaker speech. And if you're a member, you can give as many 5 to 7 minute speeches as you would like. Then in our table topics section, you have the opportunity to give a 1 to 2 minute impromptu speeches, and prompts are provided by our topics master. And then our final section, the evaluation section, the reporter roles are going to give their reports of the meeting, and then evaluators are going to evaluate our speakers, the table topics, and the meeting as a whole. So that's how our meetings go down, and we're going to get right into it. So we're going to start our speech section. So our first speaker is completing his Pathways Level 2, Understanding Your Communication Style, and his speech is titled Commitment. So please welcome to the stage, Sourin Paturi.
Thank you so much, Courtney. And I'd like to first say I'm going to be talking about commitment. So what exactly is commitment? I know it's like an easy word to try to define, like you can probably find an online definition from Google or any sort of thing. But commitment means to be able to go through with your words and be able to fulfill your promises, to be able to commit yourself, whether it be to a person, an organization, any sort of a community. You always go there and do your responsible actions. You don't try to give up on your actions. You always follow through and do your best. Now, I think one of the reasons I really am thinking about commitment specifically is because of this semester. So this semester, when I first came in here to this semester, I knew I didn't really have many things to do. I was really, half the time I was spent just on my computer doing schoolwork and things like that. So whenever my friends invited me to some places, I would always say yes. I became almost of a yes man. So I think that's sort of hindered my communication style. If you ask me for something, I'll always say yes, fine, sure. I didn't really have the habit of saying no as a given answer. I think some people have that problem. I'm one of those people. So if I had, for example, something due at 12:59 and one of my friends is like, hey, you should hang out at like 9 p.m. I know realistically I should have hung out with them, but I still do it regardless. I feel some sort of commitment to them. Like I have to follow through with my promises. Otherwise I'll miss something. I won't be able to do this. I won't be able to do that. I always follow through and commit to these various things, regardless if it's for my benefit or whether I'm just committing for the sake of it. Now, the reason I bring up commitment is because we have various organizations that we commit to. For example, I committed to Toastmasters. I committed to computer science as my major. I committed to many of these things. Many people have commitments that they make in their lives, but we should also be able to look back in our lives and think of certain things that we're doing right now and whether that commitment is really worth for us. Is there anything in your life that you used to really enjoy, but now you just don't enjoy anymore? Is there anything that you wish you were able to seek happiness from? Anything that brought happiness in the past, but just doesn't string those chords the same way? We need to look back and understand that our lives are not linear. We always have various bends, various connections. We always break off. If there's a person in your life that you aren't really getting along with and there's no need to keep them around. You are yourself. In the end, you were born alone. You're gonna die alone. I'm gonna be very morbid on that reality. We're all just simple human beings living our lives, trying to commit to ourselves, commit to any group, we're committing to a life in general. And I feel that we need to understand that you don't have to owe anyone anything. All you have to do is owe yourself to be able to go through with your own promises. So if anything in your life is really pulling you back, you don't have to keep up with it. If, for example, you don't like this, I don't know, you don't like your roommate, for example, talk it out. You don't have to just stay mum about it. If you don't like, for example, the your major, change your major. Like, don't always question yourself and be like, should I do that? Should I do this? Because by the time you keep questioning yourself, you're not actually going to be able to get things done. And I've realized that from freshman, not even freshman year, from my whole school life now. I always make these things. I start overthinking things, whether I should do that, whether I should do this, and often leaves me blindsided. And I feel like I've lost a lot, specifically, whether it be promises to people, whether it be opportunities that I've given up, simply because I couldn't come to a decision. I just thought out all of the factors. For example, this semester, I had a fraternity. They offered me a bid. I couldn't give a commitment in that end. I just didn't know if I want to say yes or no. And in the end, the exchange felt very awkward and rushed. I wasn't really able to close off that almost conversation relationship, and it just felt as though I ghosted people. I didn't feel that was a good way to do it. So know this, that whenever there's any sort of problem, be forthcoming with it. Don't just like hold off on things. Just be upfront, tell people whether you're going to be able to commit. And I think being able to commit, not being able to commit, all of these focuses on our communication style. So be able to communicate that well rather than being apprehensive when you commit to anything. And honestly, that's just the word of advice that I'm able to give you, because for me as an individual, I believe that we can be the best that we are if we try our hardest and do the things that we actually enjoy. So don't try to do things that you don't actually enjoy. And I feel that beyond all doubt that we need to really seek who we are as people. So maybe, for example, there's some talent you wanted to do this, and it's sort of like, for example, I wanted to play the guitar my whole life. I remember in, I believe, first, second grade, my parents signed me up for guitar classes. I didn't pay attention. I didn't do that. I was too busy talking to the instructor about the latest cartoons than I was about learning where the various chords and things were. So you should really know if you're gonna be doing something, put in all your effort. Don't just put in 50%, don't put in 20%. Just show your full effort to something. If you don't like it, pull out immediately. Don't just like drag it on. Just don't be that kind of guy. Don't be that kind of girl. Don't do that. So really give it all your all and be open with your approach. Thank you so much.
Awesome speech, Sourin. It was a great advice about setting boundaries and going after what you want. That was great. So I'm going to ask everybody, so I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. So if everybody could send feedback to Sourin, and I will start that now. All right, and I'm just going to look here in the chat to make sure that he was in his time, which it looks like he was. So we are not voting today because we only have one speaker, so Sourin wins. So yeah, we will move on to our table topics portion. So if Nadia would like to come to the stage for the table topics portion.